Okay, Gillian, Tom Hitchcock, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. I stumbled then. I was about to attempt your surname, and I've got them wrong on pronunciation every time recently. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So how do I pronounce your name?
I don't know. You're from the UK. You must be able to pronounce that surname.
Can I say have a guess without offending?
Have a go.
Ogle,
Close. Ogle.
Ogle. There we
Yeah.
are. But it depends whether you're north or south, then, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, well, it probably is Ogle. It might be Ogle over there, but yeah, Ogle. It's my family's from near Newcastle over there as well. So yeah.
That would be your pronunciation. So
Yeah.
that's not up north. That's how they. I've never heard that surname though.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, we've got a castle and everything over there.
That's probably why I haven't heard of it, because I'm of a different class.
I don't know about that.
I'm in the company of royalty here, Newcastle royalty.
I don't know about that.
So
Yeah.
mate, we were chatting before as well. You said you had your dog howling at the fire engine or what have you. What is it you got there?
Yeah, little Pomeranian. He's a real empath, and whenever he hears a fire engine or an ambulance, he does the old woof howl, and then sort of whimpers a little bit. But yeah, he's all good.
A shame we couldn't hear it. It's usually got my dog snoring away at the background. He has a little go to get on the recording as well.
Yeah, right. What do you have?
I've got a boxer.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been a bit sleepy recently. He's been a bit docile, so
Yeah,
I don't expect to come and say hello.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, thanks for coming on the show. It's these episodes are not so much about me and my dog. I'm keen to hear your story and whatever context you would like to share with us. So that the floor is yours, Gillian.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in a family business, and then when my dad died in 2007, I had a massive awakening. I got to understand life at a different level. I got to understand that, we create our reality, that we are the creators, not the victims of our circumstances, if we choose to be. And so that sort of completely changed the trajectory of my path. I spent 10 years in commercial real estate after that. And looking back, I can see all of the signs, all of the signals, the messages, the intuitive nudges to push me into this work or to draw me into this work, probably is a better way of saying it, that I do now. And so, yeah, I coach, I facilitate, I help people to find their worth, their value. I help people to find their mission. And there's a cascading effect. What happens when you get on mission, when you find your worth, when you start to heal your past wounds, you heal your physical body, you heal your relationships, your net worth increases with your self-worth. And it's really a beautiful, it's been a beautiful journey for me. I didn't think of it that way at the time. I was like, why the hell is this happening to me again and again and again and again? And for the people listening, if you're experiencing repetitive patterns, that is your message. That is your stuff to heal in this lifetime. Once you learn that lesson, in the East they call it karma. So once you learn that lesson, that your intuitive nudges, your soul is trying to get you to learn, right? Your soul is just playing this game of life, and we have so many judgments on how it should be and how, this isn't right, and we blame people and all of these things. But our soul is really just trying to get us to experience. The soul doesn't have a judgment on anything. It's just wanting to experience itself. And so these intuitive nudges are trying to get us to learn that specific lesson from that repeating pattern. But what we do is we go from job to job, we go from relationship to relationship, we move houses, we move countries, we do all of these things in our external reality to try and fix what's going on within us. But you'll never do that. You'll never do that. You might get some relief, but the programming is within us. The pattern, the pain, the challenge is within us. And once we heal that pattern, once we learn that lesson, once we get that karmic nudge, we transcend that level of our reality, and we shift into a greater, more expanded version of ourselves. So that's sort of a bit of my path. I started working for a famous meditation teacher a number of years ago, and that was a huge part of my path as well. I learned so much from him. And then I learned so much more after I left him as well. And so the point of that is that things change, and you know, things evolve. And I think sometimes, you know, when we lose friends, when we lose connection with family members, sometimes there can be a judgment on that as well, that that's not okay, or and you know, you can resolve any situation. Absolutely, we're all mirrors reflecting each other back to each other. And yet, as we shift, as we change who we are, the people around us are going to change as well. I don't know if that's that could be way too deep for some people to see. I don't know.
It's perfectly fine, and it makes perfect sense, and we understand. I think people can relate to the catalyst of change, that's for sure. I think those gentle nudges that we get for us to learn a lesson, to make a shift. I must be a very slow learner. I'm well aware of it, but I haven't learned my lessons yet. I keep making the same mistakes. But one thing that stood out to me is resolving previous trauma, past trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. That there is something that I think is going to resonate with a lot of people listening. But it also brought up the question for me is breaking the chain of ancestral trauma.
Yep.
Okay. And there's a lot of talk around that, and acknowledging that it isn't just sitting with you and your experience, but your experience you inherited. What's your thoughts on that connection?
Yeah, well, through the study of epigenetics, we know that you know, this programming goes back 13 generations. So it is a thing. Now, I really want to say something, and I really want to stress this point, because what a lot of people tend to do when they hear that is they say, I knew it wasn't my fault. It was great grandmother, you know, Betty, who did that thing, and I've inherited it. And then all the blame, you know, comes up, and we're all of a sudden we're a victim again. So yes, you know, we do. I mean, I made a video on this yesterday. What we experience with our parents. If you were to say to your parents, what do you perceive was missing in your childhood? What do you perceive that you didn't get from your mum or dad when you were young? It's likely going to be very similar to what you perceive you didn't get from your mum and dad, because an unresolved, this is how this shows up, right? An unresolved wound with your parents will repeat. And say if your mum you know, felt like her mum wasn't present, and she is really sort of charged about that, and so she's going out of her way to be super present with her children, with you. Now, there is that reality, but there's also going to be a part of her where she isn't present, and her pride of being present with you is going to block the shame and her ability to see where she's not present and where she's exactly like her mother. And that is one of the key things, because the expansion sort of conflates this idea of like, I'm nothing like her. Look how present I am with my children. But there's still that anger and that you know, despise of how her mother was. And she will be absolutely doing the same thing. There is never a case where you dislike something in someone else that you don't have the same ability to do the same. You're not doing the same behavior. It's always there every single time. Like I said, it's just our pride that blocks us from admitting that. And people out there will be like, oh, this is, you know, victim shaming and blaming and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually not. It's if you want to go back to the beginning of time, the universe wanted to experience itself. So it created another, it created a mirror. We are all mirrors of each other. And anything that we really, really like about someone or anything that we really, really dislike about someone is within us wanting to be owned, screaming out to be owned. And that's your repeating pattern. That's what it is. So once you take ownership of that, once you find out, how can I love this part of me that is not present with my children, then you're able to take that part of you home and transcend that level of your reality. It's like a video game. We're playing a video game here, right? Like, and so that's how you end generational trauma, because you won't be attached either side. You won't be overly trying to be present with your children and still being not present with your children and unaware of that. And your children will be aware of it, right? Because that's the pattern repeating. So what happens is you stop repeating that pattern. Your children then get a more balanced parent because there's no sort of extremes both ways. And the child then ends up having a healthier relationship with their parent, ends up having a healthier view of life. Because, I mean, the thing is too, you can be traumatized by having a parent that's very there, you know, that's over the top, that's, you know, always in your business, you know, won't let you do anything because you're wrapped in cotton wool. Just as much as you can from a parent not being there and that sort of perceived lack. And so, you know, both extremes will impact. And the only thing you have to do is own it, love it, integrate it, and it's done.
Okay, so you're saying essentially step 2, apart from identifying, is to process the trauma. Okay, that's the way to own it. If you don't take ownership of it, is to process it, feel it, and let it go through its motions. Would that be fair to say, or is that
that would be a no, that's not my process. So the fact that you're labeling it trauma to begin with puts a charge around it, right? So you're already amplifying what this thing means to you. We experience events, and I don't know, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I've got a little sis.
Yeah. So growing up in your household, you would have experienced the same things, but you would have very different perceptions of those events based on who you are, your patterns, your programs, what you're here for. And so is it a trauma or is it an event that you've made meaning of? And so that's the first thing that we do, is we get very clear on specifically what that person did or didn't do. Right. And then you start to see that you have an expectation of this person to be a certain way. So then we find where you've done the same thing, and you will have done the same thing. It might be in a slightly different form. And then you start to take ownership. And then instead of that person, you know, being a POS in the gutter, you know, you start to bring them up into a level where you can look eye to eye with them. then you look at what are the benefits of this behavior? What are the benefits of doing this? And there are always benefits. There is always a benefit in that moment of that thing happening. There are no mistakes in this universe. This is a grand organized design. But because things don't happen the way we want them to or think they should, we get upset. So once we've found the benefits, you start to see things in a different way. You start to see that, my God, this thing actually helped me with X, Y, and Z. And if that hadn't have happened, like, I wouldn't be where I am. And not a lip service level. I'm not talking about, oh, it's made me who I am today. No, like, we actually go in and we find the specifics so that you can deeply embody it. Because until you find the specifics, Carl Jung says, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. So that's a big part of what I do in my work, is I bring the unconscious to the conscious, right? Because there's hidden information in everything we experience. And until you make that unconscious conscious, you got no idea what's going on. It's unconscious, So we bring that information. I ask a series of questions. I prod and I probe a little bit, and we bring that information to the conscious level. And when you do that, you can see, like, you can really see it. It's sort of hard to explain, but it's kind of like, I don't want to use COVID as the example, but it's like when you've been so blind to something before, and even your glasses on the top of your head, right? You've been looking for your glasses, you've been looking everywhere for them, and then all of a sudden you look in the mirror and there they are. It's that blatantly obvious when you make the unconscious conscious. It's that blatantly obvious that you cannot ignore it. You cannot see things any other way. You absolutely are grateful for things playing out exactly the way they did, and that part of you integrates it. It comes back home, and then, yeah, you're left with the wisdom of the event. You don't have the emotional charge anymore. It's truly incredible what's possible, and it's truly incredible how quickly things can shift. I had a fellow that I worked with just on Monday who had knee pain for 3 weeks. In an hour and a half, we got to the bottom of what was going on for him, and I won't share because I haven't asked permission, but basically there was an issue with a female in his life, and we got to the bottom of that, which led us to other family members, and it's gone. The knee pain's gone after 3 weeks of pain. It's gone. So how does that happen, right? And this is the thing with our traumas and our triggers. Until we heal that part of ourselves, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. These little slaps, the taps on the shoulder, the slaps, the punch to the face, then becomes disease because we're not listening. It becomes a physical symptom because we're not listening. And again, it's not our fault. We're not taught how to understand the feedback that we get from the universe. We're not taught to understand the feedback that we get from the people in front of us that are mirroring us and trying to show us these parts that we've not loved. But when you do understand it, when you do understand the game of life, everything changes.
Okay.
Everything changes.
Okay. Well, as I think the topic can open up quite significantly. I think it would be hard pushed to find someone that this doesn't relate to listening to it. So if people are honest with themselves, whether they're listening to this on their commute or at home in their own time, they'll probably have a few nodding moments. Okay, yeah, they're right, and what have you. Just for those people now, what would be the big nugget you could give them just to take away so they can start their journey on, I'm not going to call it trauma, but fixing the consequence of events?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I would do is get clear on specifically what that person's done that has upset you. Were they verbally critical of you? What specifically have they done or not done that has upset you? Have they invaded your privacy? Have they dismissed your opinion? What's the specific here? And once you do that, then you start to own where you've done that. And I don't want people out there saying, I haven't done that, or, oh, I've done that plenty. No, you need to make a list of specifics. Go to the specific moments, each moment that you've done that thing. Because when you start to write down specific moments and you get back into that moment, you really start to own it, right? It drops in at a deeper level. I've done that plenty, or I've never done that. That's just lip service. That's just dismissing. That's just trying to escape the moment. So these are things that you can start to do at home. I hold people very accountable, and I don't let them squirrel away from anything, which is why they get such amazing results. But really, that's the thing that you can start to do, is to start to, where have I done this? And then you start to see yourself in the other person. You start to understand, holy, we are mirrors of each other. I can see how I've done that, and I can see how I've completely judged this other person for doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, love that. Okay. Maybe for those same people that have taken on board that nugget you just shared, thanks for that. They would like to reach out and have a further conversation with you. They want to take a next step. What would be the best way for them to make contact with you, Jill?
Yeah, just through my website, jillogle.com. I do one-on-one coaching for people that want to fast track and really just like break through these patterns in, a couple of months. And then I've also got my membership community where I actually teach you all of the rules to the game of life. I teach you the underlying principles. And we do the work as well, so that you can not only have the shifts, but you've also got the deep understanding of how it all works. So depending on where people are at, or you could do both, right? I have people that do both as well, because they want that fast track, but they also want to have the deep understanding of the game of life.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, well, please, when we do publish this, put your details in the comment section. People are communicating with each other, so it'd be nice to be able to help them via yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, that brings us to a close. Thank you very much for your time. I enjoyed listening to your story and what you've shared, and I think there's a lot of value for people there.
Yeah, and if I can just say one quick thing before we do end up, like, this is how you love yourself. This is how you truly transcend who you currently are. This is how you get everything that you want in life. Because until you own these parts of you that you can't see, that you've disowned, it's just going to keep repeating. There is no way to break that cycle apart from actually own it, because that's what the universe is trying to get you to do. Yeah. So I've tried many things over the last 20 years of, all sorts of modalities and techniques and philosophies and positive thinking. And, I work for Joe Dispenza and all of these things. And nothing helped me really until I faced myself. And so if you really want to love yourself, this is how you do it.
Love it. Brilliant. Yeah. Perfect. Nice wrap up. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you did enjoy it, had lots of takeaways from it. As before, please subscribe below so you can keep on top of any new releases we have. And also, if you would like to have your story told, just reach out with me and I'd love to give you that platform. My best email address is tom@purplepatchconsulting.com. Thank you.